I'm actually really glad I had you guys around as friends to like kind of get me to think about things outside of what I've already known, you know. Hello, computer the internet. Welcome back to more Spyro 3 Reignited.
You're the dragon. And Knuckles.
Well, I mean, that actually was Spyro 3, Sonic 3. Fucking shit.
I don't want to see whatever art that is.
No. Okay, actually, you know what you just reminded me of?
No! What? What?
Kids at home, or even not kids at home, even adults at home, do not, under any circumstances, look up Spyro at Subway.
No! God, please, no! No!
What?
Don't look it up.
Oh.
Do not look it up.
What did you just... Oh, you have to show me after the episode now.
I don't want to. I don't want to see it again. I can describe it.
Maybe not on camera? If it's that bad? Is it like a weird sexual thing? Is it like... I don't...
Oh, okay. No, okay, I get it.
Haha. Okay, but they could have easily named him Ahab, honestly.
I mean, yes.
Huh.
Anyway.
The sorceress has a real prize on her hands here.
God does a lot of interesting things.
Yes.
I
better believe
so
he's not going to get out.
my question is, so in a lot of the Old Testament and whatnot, it sounds like this Yahweh character, God, is a very, very, very envious and jealous, which again, the three of the major sins.
Actually,
He's
the Bible
jealous,
does it. Yeah.
He's envious, and he's wrathful.
Isn't envy and jealousy the same thing?
I mean, yes, kind of. Envy is a part of jealousy, but they're two distinct emotions, if that makes sense.
Well, the Bible actually does say, it actually does say that God is a jealous God. Like, he's jealous for you. Like, he wants you to, like...
Well, I mean, well, think about it. He represents, like, several of the major, quote-unquote, sins.
Yeah.
Like, so there's, like, 7 virtues and 7 sins. They're opposites and whatnot. So the 7 virtues are...
It's not just lying
Hold on,
around
meta
on the
joke.
ground.
We're getting all this money, Spyro. It's not just laying on the ground, is it?
What do I care?
Sorry,
It's
I always thought
mine
that was funny because it is actually just lying on the ground.
It is, yes.
The first rejuvenating breath of freedom. With the humility of a wounded sparrow, I genuflect to my noble deliverer.
It was no big deal, dude.
Yes. After all, it was I who let you out.
Why, you brazenly avaricious, duplicitous, larcenous ursine!
I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like him even more now.
One more, perhaps?
At least.
Yes! Yes! Finally!
Yeah.
Please do afford me the sublime honor of enjoying your visitation in the nearest future.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, that's our new playable character.
I like him.
I do too.
Anyway, where were we?
God is...
I will gladly open
Oh yeah,
on
so
your
so
quest
he's
file.
wrathful,
But first I must
given
attend
how
to my
often he
young
commits
sibling.
atrocities like the
I'm
destruction of
afraid he may have
cities
got
and major
himself into trouble
populations,
during my
and
absence.
you know, the sending of the plagues is the biggest major one I can think of. He's jealous, or jealousy, envy, like kind of play the same idea. But,
Yeah.
wait, that's another
It'd be really cool
one of
if
the
you
7
smashed
deadly
that
sins,
boulder.
as it were.
Swift smash would be the trick.
He is prideful because he believes he is supposed to be superior to all the other. You shall have no other gods before me, and blah blah blah. I am the top dog, etc. etc. He is greedy because he wants access, or he wants the souls of every humankind in existence and whatnot, and he claims that we are his creation and whatnot, which I'm not 100% sold on.
I'm gonna go on a bet that people are not gonna be happy with this episode.
I don't really care.
I mean, fair enough. I'm just realizing that we're talking a lot about very controversial topics.
Hey,
so.
I know. I was just thinking about it. But I mean,
I
don't-
genuinely don't give a shit because I have a different worldview than all those people.
yeah.
And at one point, I was one of those people, very briefly.
Oh, dude, me too.
And I am not going to return to that because I have come to my own conclusions that differentiate heavily from a lot of the things that they preach.
Yeah.
Let's see. He is gluttonous
Use your spin move to deflect
because of the idea
snowball
of
into
people
the
talking
car.
about him
I bet you
representing
can make a roof
and
cake.
holding title over heaven and earth and whatnot. And all the, everything good about heaven is supposed to happen and whatnot. Like, so in the afterlife, if you believe and go to heaven, you're supposed to be, in this, like, perfect paradise and whatnot, full of all the milk and honey you can drink and ease and all these, like, wonderful, like, things, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we have any of that, regularly here on Earth? Why is there not peace on Earth? Because of the creation of religion and several things that came out of it.
Took
Like,
me forever
there's...
to train those seals to throw snowballs.
yeah.
Now they've got
Anyway,
turned on me.
let's see, what do you go to? Pride, God, sloth. Oh, he's slothful! Because despite the idea that he's supposed to have unlimited, all-knowing, supreme, like, he's supposed to be omniscient and omnipotent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
yet he lets all these atrocities happen on his
Yeah.
watch. Yeah.
yeah. Because he just simply decides not to do anything about it because, free will, you're supposed to choose to walk with him or whatever. It's like, well, okay, but if he has all this power, he can twist the free will of man and whatnot in such a manner that really we would all be walking with him if he so chose. Because the idea of free will is not necessarily... If you give a creature sentience and you give it the option to disobey its master because you call it free will, is that really free will?
Oh, this is like,
It goes back to like
Yeah,
the lots of robotics kind of thing. Yeah, I
this
guess,
is
but-
just slightly off topic, but it did remind me that I was reading this. I wasn't reading. I was watching. I guess there's like this TikTok that someone shared on Facebook. I think it was Jade, but basically talking about how like there are some Christians, and I know this argument too because I live with some of them who make
Yeah,
the same argument. Where like without God and without Christianity or whatever, there would be no morals. Like it's religion that give us the moral code or whatever, right?
Well, no, because that's why we have things like laws.
Well,
And-
not only that.
Because we have a
Yeah,
social
yeah.
contract with one another. They're like, hey, you should not kill me,
Yeah.
and I don't want to kill you, so let's just go about our separate ways and do our own thing, right? You shouldn't go around and kill that guy either, because what has he done to harm you? He hasn't done
Right,
it.
right.
And it's not justified.
Except what's hilarious, right,
Uh-huh.
is that they make this justification that without us or without Christianity or whatever, there would be no morals and people will just go out and steal and kill all they want and blah blah blah. But the thing is, right?
It already happens, regardless of...
But the thing is, right,
Mhm.
is that what was Adam and Eve's sin, right?
So,
Adam and Eve,
according to the
yeah,
Bible,
yeah.
my understanding, the whole sin that they actually did was
the original sin.
So Adam and Eve were persuaded by the snake that some claim to be a snake, some claim to be Satan in
Doesn't
disguise.
matter.
It doesn't matter. But the sin was the fact that they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yes. So doesn't that fly in the face of their argument that they're saying there is no morality without Christianity?
Well,
Because
not only that,
because
but
they
also,
wouldn't before they didn't know the difference between good and evil. They ate from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, which means they had no idea what good and evil was before they ate from it.
well, additionally, it also means that free will was not God's intention.
I mean, that's also true, but
Because-
the point I'm trying to make, right? The point I'm trying to make is the fact that that argument is completely invalid based off of that story. Because otherwise we would just like be like animals who are without sin because they
Can't really think about it or know any better. Like, if
Exactly.
an animal feels defensive and gets territorial over its area and it kills you over it, it's just defending its own
right.
shelter and life. It's
So
not...
supposedly humans
like-
were like that at some point, where we would be basically just like animals. We don't know any better, and we couldn't be blamed for anything. It was God who put the knowledge of tree, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, in the garden that we ate. That gave us that knowledge of what good and evil is, which means we are the ones who come up with this morality system.
Here's my question: why is it that God put this? Why is that He put this specific tree in there that, delivers this or produces this fruit that gives people the idea of the knowledge of what is good and what is wrong?
It was.
And then specifically says, don't eat from this tree.
Yeah. Supposedly, I guess it was like to test humanity or something, right? Like
Up until the sake of whatever said anything about it, they probably didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So why would God go out of his way to be like, don't eat this tree specifically? Why would he even put it in the garden to begin with? Like, what test is there if the animals that are around it aren't going to give much of a shit because they're too busy praising you and walking with you through the garden?
Oh, you know, speaking of that story, right? You know how there's a lot of people who were, systemic racism is a huge issue, right? In America.
Yes, and there's a lot of people who deny the idea that there ever was, there is.
Yes. And but like, you know, the argument that the argument that, hey, why should we be punished for what our ancestors did, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that God is punishing us for what our ancestors did. If the story of Adam and Eve is correct, those two people who were the
original first humans,
they committed the first sin, and the entire rest of humanity is punished for it.
That is also technically incorrect because Adam and Eve were not actually the first humans. Adam was for sure, but he also had a wife created before Eve named Lilith.
Which is nowhere in the Bible.
Right, but there are other documents and whatnot that talk about this thing saying that she was created before Eve was, and that was actually Adam's first wife, was Lilith. And she was.
Christians aren't gonna believe anything that isn't actually in the Bible.
I don't think it's in the Christian Bible, but I think it is actually in the Torah, the Hebrew Bible.
I believe it's Torah.
I'm not 100% certain. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah. So it does actually talk about it in that one, which is I find very interesting.
Yeah. I don't actually know all the facts, so we could be getting stuff wrong, and if we are, then I apologize. But we're kind of just talking just to talk.
Well, I'm pretty sure we've got most of the general ideas correct.
Hopefully. Is that everything?
That's all the gems. I don't know if that's.
Thanks, bro. Here's a little something for your rock collection.
Oh, this is probably where the last egg is.
Okay. Yep. That's 3 out of 3. And you're. Alright.
Okay. Well,
Wow, yeah, sure. Just let me not be a Yeti with the rest of you. See how it is.
that was my literal brother. Okay, fine.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, he said bro, but I don't know if that necessarily.
I don't know. That's how I always interpreted it as.
Because, you know, what's up, bruh?
Oh yeah.
You know.
It's Bentley's homeworld.
Yeah,
So I mean, I thought it would make sense for that to be his like little brother or something.
maybe. Don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, now we have Bentley, we can go back to that level that needed him.
So, you're familiar with the story of Moses, right?
Yeah.
So, why was it that God told him to bring plagues upon the people who did not necessarily have anything to do with Moses' issues with his brothers and whatnot?
Are you talking
The Pharaoh?
Are you talking about like the plagues for the Pharaoh not releasing the slaves?
Yeah. What? Like, if the Pharaoh was keeping slaves of the Israelites or whatnot, right?
Mm-mm.
And they're already suffering under the harsh treatment of slavery and, you know, that sort of thing as it is, with backbreaking labor and cruelty and very little to no food or, you know, all kinds of other atrocities. If they're already suffering that much, why would you go and send plagues to desecrate the populace of an already suffering area?
Well, I think the plagues only affected the Egyptians, which
That was... Yes, but also they're slaves under the rule of the pharaohs of Egypt and whatnot, so that by definition means they're probably suffering from it as well, to some extent, right?
yeah, I guess that could make sense.
Also-
And also, not all Egyptians are guilty.
Yeah.
And that would be basically like saying every German civilian is guilty of the Nazis.
Right, which was definitely not the case.
Yeah.
And another thing, why would you send plagues to do all these terrible things to the people and not just the pharaoh specifically? You know, the ones in charge, the people who actually hold the power over the dominion and all this.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not just smite the pharaoh and his, like, seers or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, That's a real quick, easy solution.
A fine day for a
Yeah,
bit of a walk.
it should.
Rather than sending, what was it, a plague of locusts to desecrate all the crops, so this way there's already less food than there already was, so people are starving, and then a plague of frogs and whatnot to eat, and spread disease and whatnot or something. I don't remember what the whole thing with that is about. Then you spread the plague of disease and whatnot, so now not only are these people already starving, but now they have got like the measles and chickenpox and all kinds of other things and whatnot, they're becoming sickly,
And they turn
on top of already dying from starvation.
they turn the river to blood, so all the drinking water's gone.
Yep, for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't remember a couple of the other plagues, and then the final one where
They kill the firstborn.
of every household that was not painted with goat's blood.
Yeah.
So if you, as an Egyptian or even as an Israelite or whatever, within that time frame and period,
If you didn't have blood goat on your door,
if you failed to put goat blood on your door, or chose not to because you didn't want to sacrifice one of your herd because everything's already so scarce as it is and whatnot, then you suffered by having your firstborn killed
yep,
for no reason.
yep.
What kind of a god is this supposed to be again? Loving, all about love and kindness and acceptance and whatnot. That's what they're preaching now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or that's what they're supposed to be.
Well,
So, where is the shift? What's the big deal between, like, you know, I am an angry, jealous, wrathful God, to, oh, no, I don't mean any of that. I'm all about peace and love and harmony and unity. I want everybody, all of my children to come to me and inherit my kingdom of heaven and earth. And all this gone.
I honestly think the biggest difference is probably between God and Jesus, right? I feel like, and they're supposed to be one and the same because the whole
Because they work as a trinity.
Right. But like, I feel like Jesus is the one who preaches, you know, love and acceptance and love thy neighbor and whatnot, while God is the one who's doing all these vengeful, wrathful shit, right?
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
Also, what does the Holy Spirit do again?
Live within us, and I think maybe the Holy Spirit is basically what our conscience is supposed to be. I think.
Alright.
I'm not entirely clear.
Christian midichlorians.
Yeah, I used to be a Christian, like really big on the whole thing too. I mean, you knew me back in high school.
Yeah.
I was.
It was kind of intense. Yeah.
I just basically believed everything my parents told me. I didn't question anything, and I'm actually really glad I had you guys around as friends to like kind of get me to think about things outside of what I've already known. You know, I really owe it to you guys, and especially Nicole, who unfortunately I don't really talk to a lot anymore. But like, she was the biggest component, the one that like was constantly challenging me and being like, you know, what have you ever thought about this? And like I wouldn't have an answer because obviously I didn't, you know, and it really got me thinking about it.
I also want to point out, so even after the whole like thing of the slaves of the Israelites and whatnot, more people have been taken into slavery and killed in the name of God than I'm pretty sure just about any other religion or reasoning.
Yeah.
So much so that even all the way up until present day modern America and whatnot, people are still killing and taking into slavery, by extension, into his name. Because in 1776, those, you know, Protestants and whatnot that came over to our shores to form the colonies and whatnot against the English church, what?
Bartholomew, he vanished. You missed it because you were facing me to talk to me, but
Who's Bartholomew?
Bentley's brother, who reappeared in this level.
Is he the evil one or whatever?
No, he's just like his little brother or something.
Oh.
Anyway, he was there. I talked to him, and then he just kind of.
They, as white people, Christians, mind you, and whatnot, purchased and used a lot of labor under slavery and whatnot, and thought that it was righteous and good and just, and that, you know, this is the way things are supposed to be because our ancestors, to some extent or another, were white supremacists.
Yeah.
And have been for a long time, and everybody tries to deny it and whatnot because, oh, well, I shouldn't be, you know, I'm not racist, I'm not a white supremacist. Well, yeah, maybe not, but you have to come to terms and understand that the history of America is not as bright and pretty and colorful and everything as everybody makes it out to be. Like, there's a lot of shit that they don't teach you or talk about in even just our regular educations and whatnot. They'll gloss over, like, yeah, slavery was a thing, but it's no longer an issue, we don't have to worry about it. When that's very much not the case. In a lot of ways, slavery has just been rebranded to the modern prison complex system, or the prison industry.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, I think in the previous episode, what is it? It's Amendment 13 or 17. One of
I know what you're talking about, where, like, slavery's abolished except for...
if you're accused of having committed a crime, in which case you shall be property under something to do with the prison or jail or whatever that you're sent to until your penance is served or some shit.
Oh, slavery was never abolished, it was just relocated.
Renamed and relocated, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because of it, that's why you have the systemic racism of disproportionate number of people, particularly minorities, thank you, being arrested for crimes that they didn't commit, or being charged with felonies and whatnot that they didn't commit, to such an extent that they are getting incredibly outrageous prison sentences for holding a plant.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally a plant with, like, leaves and stuff. Cannabis should not be a felony charge. I don't care how much of it you have or you're selling or whatever. It's just a fucking plant. Let people get high. It's no less dangerous than growing hops and barley.
Yeah, actually, I think alcohol...
Distributing alcohol.
I think alcohol is actually more dangerous.
Yeah, actually, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Also because of the effects and how they work on the...
So if alcohol is allowed, then why not weed? I mean, I don't smoke myself, but I don't see why it is held in such contempt. Well, actually, I do know why. It's because of...
racism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things behind that sort of stuff, and it's all garbage.
Yeah.
The amount of propaganda and articles and all kinds of, like, historical documents that have ties and relations to, like, anti-abolitionist movements and pro-slavery movements and stuff like that is
astonishing.
Not disgusting.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, hey, look, Sparks does change color if you get him low enough health.
But he doesn't have a mini Sparks that changes color with him.
Why would he?
Because everybody else does, so it should be a miniature Sparks that changes colors.
But he is Sparks.
I'm not buying it.
You're not buying that he's Sparks?
No, because this Sparks, moves independently of anybody else. That he has a little weird, I don't know, dragonfly gun thingy where he can shoot and stuff. He's also a lot bigger than he normally is.
Well, that's because it's zoomed in. Like, this is a small... Like, you see how big those gems are compared to how they normally are?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, there's this new cartoon on Netflix called Inside Job, and it's actually pretty funny.
Oh.
It's about, like, conspiracy theories and, like...
How bullshit so many of them are?
No. I mean, yes, kinda. Yeah, I guess in some ways it does make fun of them, but, like, in this cartoon, all conspiracy theories are real. Like, there are lizard people, the moon landing was faked, etc., etc. So there is a secret society running all of the...
So the Illuminati is a real thing?
Yeah. And, like, basically it follows... The protagonist is, like, someone who works in it, who, basically is trying to get this promotion to, like, run things, you know?
Which, I mean, of all the possible conspiracy theories out there that I could possibly, like, believe in, I think the most prominent one that genuinely might have some sort of level of, like, some element of truth to it is, like, the Illuminati one, where there is, like, a hidden, like, coalition of a bunch of, like, closed-door people who run everything. To a certain extent, I can kind of believe where they're coming from and believe that. I don't think it's as dangerous or as prominent as they make it out to be and whatnot. The reason why I kind of understand where they're coming from and to a small extent kind of believe there is some truth to it is because, well, take a look at, for instance, our regular capitalist system here in America. You have the ultra rich, the ultra hyper wealthy people who control and own pretty much just about everything here in America. The only exceptions being those mandated and operated by the federal service, like the United Postal Service and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So already there is a crumb of truth to the idea of like some sort of like Illuminati, super powerful and influential, like closed door group running everything. In the words of George Carlin, it's a big old club and you're not in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can kind of understand where they're coming from. However, globalism is not that. Does that make sense?
Was anyone saying that it was?
A lot of people who believe in the conspiracy regarding the Illuminati and whatnot believe that it's a result of socialism and globalism and whatnot, and that, you know, the
People just don't know what the word socialism means.
or communism or a lot of things. They just spew shit because it sounds good.
It's like the red button if you're...
Marxism!
Right, it's like... They just spew it because that's what they've been taught to...
Right.
Yeah.
When people shout the idea that globalism is the issue, I disagree because globalism...
I'm pressing the button to make it me straight. Sorry.
Isn't it one of the buttons that lets you strafe while firing?
That's what I'm pressing. Unless I'm not.
Maybe it just doesn't work in this particular area or not or something?
No.
Oh, see, there.
Yeah. I was doing that before, and then sometimes they just randomly make me stop doing it for no reason.
Maybe it's an issue with the controller?
Maybe.
I mean, it has been having some issues for a little while now, hasn't it?
My controller?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Well, I don't know though. Maybe it's just not always correctly, like, accepting the input or whatever.
Yeah.
2D. Anyway, but I don't know the exact definition of globalism, but from my understanding, the idea behind that is it's supposed to be kind of like the United Nations. You know, it's a representative government that spans the globe, not just individual nations and countries and whatnot, all fighting and vying for power, but kind of like in the Star Trek universe, it's every representation of humanity overcoming their individual obstacles and hatred for one another, and instead working together across the globe to make sure that everybody has shelter, housing, work if they need or want it, and the freedom to just simply exist and be a people, you know?
Yeah.
And I am very much for that.
Yeah. I am...
But because, you know, I said that, now there's going to be all kinds of people online and whatnot who are going to hate me for it because, you know, oh, well, I support globalism and the Illuminati and, you know, I support big government and blah, blah, blah. Yes, if it's doing its job like it's supposed to. That's honestly my big issue with a lot of things, is that things are not functioning the way they should for the benefit of the common people.
Yeah.
They are functioning in the way
The benefit of the
I
few.
believe
Yes.
the denizens of
Yeah.
this land plan to create a rocket propulsion device of some kind in order to help you with your journey. I'll try to be of some assistance, but I'm afraid you'll still need a representative from each world in order to
Which,
complete
by the way, can I point out
device.
that it's somewhat unrelated, but
Point it out in the next episode.
okay,
See you guys then.
bye.